Good day, everyone. This is Pineleaf News, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO and here at DDO Players. And please welcome my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculetta.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Everything's going fine down here, and I was wondering if you run into any warlocks.
I have not, thankfully, yet, but soon, I hear. Very, very soon.
Ooh. And it looks like that the warlocks that they're planning will be taken from various editions of the pen and paper game, but primarily from 3.5 and 5th editions.
Yay, they did not mention the edition that shall not be named, so that was good.
Right. You mean the non-existent edition between 3.5 and 5?
Yes, exactly. That one.
All right, that one.
For those of you that are wondering, what are they talking about? We did get our first quote-unquote official look at the warlocks on the forums. There is a huge, huge thread, many pages of people discussing the warlocks. But anything that we talk about here, you have to remember this is all subject to change. This is a very early look. So this could change dramatically from when we actually see them in live, which is still supposed to be update 26, whenever that might be. Guess we'll have to stay tuned for that. But we do have a lot to talk about on the Warlocks. So where do you want to start?
All right. I guess we can start with the basics. Well, 6-point hit dice, I guess, is pretty useful. They can wear armor like in the same way the bards can. And it looks like they can be any alignment. So I know there was some question that people were having about whether they had to be evil or anything like that, but they can be any alignment, and they'll have some basic types of pacts they can make in order to work with them. Not necessarily with an evil spirit, obviously. Since it was with an evil spirit, they couldn't be good alignment.
Right. Eldritch Blast
Boom.
Is their main... Hey, that was a great sound effect for it. You might want to write in a turbine and say, hey, I can do your sound effects for your blast. Yeah, it's a toggle feat. When you toggle it on, your basic attack, regardless of any weapons held, will become a ranged magical attack that will hit a single enemy. This initially, it's going to be a long show, folks.
Initially?
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Deals 1d6 force damage, and there are different ways to augment and alter that with different feats and some things that we will probably talk about later. And the nice thing to know about the blast is it does not cost you spell points nor hit points.
All right, then that should give you a nice fallback if you are running low on spell points or anything like that.
And it only goes in a straight line.
Initially.
Yeah, that can be changed as well later on. So
enhancements, probably?
Yes, that's just something that you have to remember. The default is going to go in a straight line, so that means that the mob can move and avoid it. So you might want to keep that in mind. And then you did mention the packs a little earlier.
Right, and it looks like that we have packs. There are 3 possible packs: Fey, Fiend, and Great Old One.
Also known as Cthulhu, but they can't really say that. So.
Well, yes. Well, not necessarily. Could be one of the other old ones.
How dare you say there's another old one other than Cthulhu?
Well, I'm sure that the King in Yellow will agree that there are others.
Okay. You have a point there. But when I hear the Great Old One, I think Cthulhu.
All right. Very well. So with the Fey, your Eldritch Blast deals an extra 1d4 sonic damage for every 2 Warlock levels. For the Fiend, it's fire damage, and with the Great Old One, it is acid damage. So I guess the Great Old One really likes acidic stuff.
Yeah, just so I'm reading these packs, I am pretty sure I'm going to create a Warlock just to check it out. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to go Fiend, because I like to do fire damage in anything that I play that I can have the option to do fire damage.
Well, it looks like they're saying that tentatively they think that it will require you not to be good.
Which is fine with me, but yeah, I was wondering how they were going to get around that, and yeah, for the Fiend and for the Great Old One, it looks like they are looking into some technical investigations on what they need to do, because as you said, the Fiend requires you not to be of good alignment, and the Great Old One requires you not to be lawful. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm sure they'll find some workaround for that. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to make my Warlock all evil, so that won't be an issue. All evil all the time. That's
all evil,
how
all
we
the
roll.
All right, then there will be 3 enhancement trees: Soul Eater, Tainted Scholar, and Enlightened Spirit. The Soul Eater, that sounds like a nice evil one.
I'm going to say, how cool a name is that enhancement tree?
This pact makes you an extension of your patron's hunger. Your body and mind becomes more inhuman, and your ability to consume the souls of life force of your enemies also feeds your patron. This sounds like something. This sounds like something with the great old ones.
Where do I sign up is all I'm saying. Sign me up now. The notable enhancement for the Soul Eater tree, your Eldritch Blast will go Chain Lightning now. You can also do damage over time effects. You have some debuffs, and you also have death effects. So definitely keeping in line with the quote-unquote evilness of the whole tree, it sounds like.
Actually, the Tainted Scholar sounds like the one that comes from the old one, since this is no secret is barred from the Tainted Scholar's grasp. And if such forbidden knowledge comes at the cost of his soul, he's willing to pay the price.
The notable enhancements for this one is your blast will change shape into a cone. You get Eldritch essences that alter how your blast work. Direct damage boosting of your blast. And you also get some crowd control, including the new Confusion ability that will cause enemies to attack player and monster characters indiscriminately. So basically you can maybe do that and have your mobs attack other mobs, which could come in very handy.
Ooh, nasty. And then there is the Enlightened Spirit. This sounds like my path. Although the fiendish origins of some warlocks' powers can't be denied, not all warlocks embrace the darkness. Some turn towards the light. Such rare individuals are called Enlightened Spirits.
And the notable enhancements for this one is your blast shape now becomes point-blank area of effect. While you have this toggled on, it will deal damage all around, scaling with your blast damage. This particular shape allows you to attack with either a melee or a ranged weapon while damaging enemies all around you. The aura abilities that primarily buff allies around you, you get some mitigation, and you have pet, summon, and charm support. And Turbine is saying they are expecting that tree to be very popular with some cross-class melee builds.
Because of the support for summoning in the light, or?
Well, I'm thinking just because it has the area of effect.
Yes, of course.
You can, wade into 3 or 4 people and do your blast, and you can hit everybody all around you. So I'm thinking that's why a lot of people that will do some cross-class melee builds will probably like this, because that would come in handy since you're going to be up close and personal anyway.
I guess you have a point there.
So you can look in the show notes and click on the link, and you can pop over and look at this thread in the forum and see what people are saying about this, and seeing some other things. But things are getting pretty exciting, and we should get our first actual in-game look at the Warlock soon, as they keep saying they're going to try to get a build up pretty quickly for us on the Monument to check out.
Very well. We also have from Turbine an update on the 2015 DDO Players Council.
A lot of people have been wondering, what has the Player Council been doing? And Turbine has said that they were going to release some information on what they've been working on. And today, DDO Community Manager Cordovan did do just that. He says, first off, we've been hoping to get this to you earlier, but work in real life has kept us busy. And we all know how that goes. Real life does tend to get in the way a lot, and so does work. So we appreciate your patience in waiting for this update. We're hoping to get these out more frequently in the future. And then he goes on to say some of the topics they've covered in, and he uses quotes here, the official discussions. And that was the initial look at the Update 25 loot, Update 25 item descriptions, U25 loot part 2, future content items first look, future content items second look, Temple of Elemental Evil. They did a lot of work with that. They looked at the champion changes, the Rogue Thief Acrobat changes, the Rogue Assassin change, and the upcoming Ranger Deepwood Stalker change, the Rogue Mechanic change. The quote-unquote one bug thread returns, which I'm not quite sure what that is, but I guess if you are on the council or a former player council, you will understand that one. Balance change thread for update 25. What do you, quote, love about DDO, unquote? Feature mysterious remnant rewards, DPS run discussion, crossbow changes, Monster Manual Volume 4, and the Warlock enhancement A, B, and C, Warlock overview, and maybe a real-life player council meetup and some new XP ideas. So it sounds like the player council has been one busy group of people. And Cordoban does go on to say that in addition, they have seen more than 170 threads created by the members of the player council offering suggestions, feedback, and questions on how and / why they do things. So for those just kind of wondering, and then also in the post, which once again you can get in the show notes, he does go on to link some quotes from the various council members. And the one that I found kind of interesting myself is from Fuzzy Duck 81. He says, "Oh, and why we in the council, we were in the dark about Will Wheaton's involvement just as much as everyone else." Smiley face. So even the Players Council didn't even know that Will was going to do the DM voice for the temple. So it sounds like they don't quite tell everything to the Player Council.
There are some secrets too powerful to let out.
That's right. So go ahead and, like I said, click over in the show notes on the Player Council update, and you can read the full posting by Cordovan that he posted just a little bit before showtime, actually.
All right, then. Let's go into the DDO Chronicle, issue 142. And I'm trying to figure, where's this picture from that's at the top?
Let me actually look at that picture. That is the Temple of Elemental Evil Fire. That's the Fire Temple.
Okay, I guess we go through there so fast.
Yeah. Yep.
So when I was in the middle of saying this when I noticed, wait a minute, that's an elemental symbol up there.
Yep, that would probably give it away. In the Chronicle this week, a player by the name of Jaggy created the Phoenix Tavern sign all in felt. And if you look at this is a pretty amazing job he or she did. They say the radius of it is about 14 inches and it's about a ½ inch thick, and it took about 2 weeks for them to make it. So it's pretty sweet. I'm not exactly sure what you would do with it other than just hang it on your wall, I guess. I guess I could see it if you had, like, a lot of people like to do, like, themes for their gaming rooms. So I could kind of see this hanging up in, like, a gaming room or something like that, or a room where you play a lot of D&D in or something. It would kind of add to the, ambiance of the room, I guess. But I think they did a pretty good job. I don't know if I would have the patience to actually make that in felt. I'm not sure how hard it even is to work with felt and do designs like that.
Well, I certainly haven't worked with ½ inch felt, so...
Also, in the Chronicle for the Fansite News, DDO Cast had another debate episode. This time it was raid bosses, grouping, and more. And the guest moderator this time was none other than Lessa. And even note, the Longshotist and Patrick himself took part in the debate, with, as I said, Lessa being the guest moderator. I listened to the episode a few days ago. There was another wonderful debate episode, so check that out. Also, The Dirty Kobold is a brand new podcast / vidcast that's out. They are up to episode 3, and this time they're taking a look at Adventure Pack. And that is about it for our Chronicle this week.
Very well. Thank you on the Chronicle. Though I do have to ask you before we leave that, is the screenshot of the week, what exactly does this have to do about Audience with the Queen?
I have no idea.
Right.
I did not understand either. Apparently that is some quest that we have not done yet, so apparently that means something, but I was trying to figure that out as well.
All right, then.
So if you know, feel free to leave a comment on this episode and tell us what that means, because Pineleaf and I are confused.
Then let's head on to the store sales. Anything useful in the store this week?
Well, there is a pretty decent free sample this week that I think you're going to want, and I'm sure other people will. You can get 50 Omnispell Dust if you use coupon code OMNI15, OMNI 15, one per account. And let me take a little sidetrack here. I know we've kind of talked about Turbine's store codes in the past, but why didn't they use Omni50? Wouldn't that make more sense?
Well, I presume that this is the 15th sale using Omni Dust.
I have no idea. I was just like, that would be it would be perfect to use Omni50 here. But no. The code is Omni15. Once again, that code can be used one per account, and you can get your free Omnispell Dust. We have 20% off select monster manuals, Slayer count boost, creature companions and accessories, and the companion name changes. And once again, people, I just implore you, when you get your companion, name it what you want to name it, and don't pay to change its name.
You mean get it right the first time?
Exactly.
Well, that might be asking a bit from some people.
There is my tip of the week. Name your companions right the first time, and then you don't have to pay to do it.
All right, then. Let's head into the site news, and the DDO Players has a poll on what is your favorite patron to get favor with? Is it a close race?
No, it was not. And this actually kind of surprised me. I figured it would be a little closer than this. But by a landslide, with 41% of the votes, the Coin Lords are the favorite patron. Which it does make sense because they give you the space and the bags and the portable hole. So I can see why people like to, grind the favor for them. The second closest was at 20%, and that was House Kandaric. And then there was several sprinkled throughout. And of course, we did get 4% of the vote for favor. What's favor? Always got to be some smart people in the audience.
Always some of those. And it looks like Muscanargo left us a note on this. On Coin Lord's favor is an absolute must for any TR.
And
that's a true reincarnation, I presume.
Yes, it is. Yep. And Libmo says, Coin Lords because I'm a hoarder.
Well, I think that sums it up perfectly well.
Nithpon in our chat says, yep, Coin Lords make sense as the winner. So he agrees with everybody else. And if you have any ideas for polls, go ahead and send them to podcast@ddoplayers.com. Because when I first started this a couple weeks ago, I thought, it's going to be easy to come up with these polls. And now I'm like, okay, I have a couple that I know what I'm going to do. And then I'm like, I have no idea what polls we should do. So I'm asking for help. If you have any ideas, podcast@ddoplayers.com, and we will use your poll. Maybe. It depends what it is. But chances are we'll use it. Just saying.
All right, then. We also are now having a little giveaway. We are giving out 5,000 Turbine points for anyone who answers a thread. And my question to you, Dracula, has anyone responded to this thread yet?
No, not at all.
Not at all. All right.
Now, this has been absolutely insane. There was, when this first went up, there was a span that we were getting about 10 entries every minute. I could not keep up approving comments. It was just insane, and it's still insane. I think we got, just today, I want to say we got 20 entries today alone. So apparently you people want 5,000 Turbine points. And it's really simple to enter. All you need to do is go over to our site, find this post, and just leave us a comment. It doesn't really matter what you say. We're not, it's not a contest for the funniest comment or the best comment or whatever. Just leave a comment. Make sure that whatever you're leaving your comment with is a valid email that you do check, because we will be sending the winner their code. So it must be a valid email. And you have until May 26th to enter. So you still got plenty of time to enter. And right now, as of this recording of the podcast, we are at 517 entries. We do check the IPs, so there is only one entry per person. There was a couple people that tried to enter more than once. We just took the first comment that they made, and we just didn't approve the other comment. So 1 entry per person. And another caveat is any people that have been on our website, which is DDO Players, of course, and our podcast is staff, current, our past, or their immediate family is not eligible to enter our contest. So that means no 5,000 turbine points for you, finally.
What?
You cannot win, so don't enter.
Oh, well. Then let's head into a screenshot of the week's end. It looks like that this owlbear also didn't enter.
No, he met an unfortunate death, it looks like.
Yeah.
But isn't he like the freakiest owlbear, though? Just, you like run into that one room of the temple, and just hanging up on the wall is just like freaky, scary, evil owlbear staring at you.
Well.
So, they have some interesting decorations in the Temple of Elemental Evil. Of course, it is, a temple for elemental evil. So I guess having an evil owlbear hanging on the wall makes perfect sense in that aspect.
All right, then.
If you have
actually, maybe the reason why the owlbear's on the wall is because it wasn't an evil owlbear.
Oh, that could be. They punish the good owlbears by killing them
of course.
and hanging them on the wall. I like it. I liked the way you're thinking there, finally. If you have a screenshot you're proud of, go ahead and send that to podcast@ddoplayers.com, and we will feature it on the site.
Now let's head into news beyond DDO, and we'll begin with a Wizards of the Coast update. And that, in light of what happened the last couple of weeks, they are following up with the D&D 3.5 Dungeon Master's Guide is now available on PDF. I know, what a shocker.
You know what, Pine Leaf?
Yeah.
I told you so.
I told you so. What?
I'm just saying, last week on the show, we talked about this, and I said the Dungeon Master's Guide will be next. And I think it was the next day. Oh, look! The Dungeon Master's Guide is next.
So do you have any prediction what the next book will be then?
I have no clue, because the other way it was easier because it was Players, Monsters, and Dungeon Master, so it was easy to do.
Yeah, that's the easy one. Guessing what's going to come after that is going to be the tougher part. The complete Book of Warriors or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, God, if they even... don't even mention them releasing all those, because there'd be a ton of those to release. You can go over to D&D Classics to download this, and it's priced at $9.99, just like the Players and the Monsters.
Well, maybe they could have 3 or 4 together in a single product of the...
Oh, yeah, no, that would be a wicked...
Actually, now if I remember correctly, it wasn't really a fighter's handbook. I believe it was a handbook for the fighting type classes, now that I remember correctly, as opposed to a specific class.
Right, yeah.
So yeah. Trying to cast my brain back to those years ago. But now let's cast our way into the future towards the Battle Bards, who are continuing with their Kickstarter. And you have some news from them?
Just thought I would give you a little update, as we have been following the progress of their Kickstarter. As of this recording, they are at 121 backers, and they only wanted $5,000 to reach their goal, and they are at $12,414 right now, and they have 7 days to go on the Kickstarter, and so that means they're into their stretch goals now. And the one that, and I actually need to update my article because it looks like they just did stretch goal 3 unlock, and that is the Heavenly Plane Ambient score. And you can vote on NPC scripts for backers. That was one of their stretch goals, was backers would vote for various things to see which one was more popular, and that's the one that they're going to include. So check that out. Also, the other thing that was the Monk Monastery musical score was a stretch goal that they hit, and some sound effects packs were voted on as well. So head over and check that out. Like I said, they've got 7 days to go, and it looks like they are still doing well with their Kickstarter, which is good to see because they are a great group of people. And I was hoping they would really succeed on this project, and it looks like they are more than succeeding, and people are seeming to like it.
All right, then. Now, Fantasy Grounds adds Horde of the Dragon Queen.
A few weeks ago, I think it was, I can't remember what episode it was, maybe 3 or 4 episodes ago, we talked about Fantasy Grounds, which is the online tabletop environment where you can play D&D. They got the official D&D license. So they are adding 5th edition supplements and the like. And today they released the Horde of the Dragon Queen mod and various things for that. It is priced at $19.99, and that does include the entire adventure. It has 11 bonus maps and everything that you need to run your party through the Horde of the Dragon Queen.
All right. And other things we have is that Out of the Abyss is now available for pre-orders. So let's get ready to head into the Underdark.
And this, of course, is the first book in the Rage of Demons storyline. Amazon now has it for pre-order for $49.95. Amazon lists the release date of this for September 15th, which, if I am not mistaken, this is the first time we've actually seen a release date for this. Wizards has talked about it, but I don't remember Wizards actually ever giving a release date for it.
Then we don't know how accurate the release date is.
Usually Amazon, I would trust Amazon release dates.
Well, after what happened with Temple of Elemental Evil.
Well, yeah, but that really wasn't, that was a whole thing with that board game. And of course, the Underdark is a subterranean wonderland, a vast and twisted labyrinth where fear reigns. It is the home of the horrific monsters that have never seen the light of day. It is here that the dark elf, Gromth Banrir, archmaids of Menzo Bazarine, cast a foul spell meant to ignite magical energy that suffuses the Underdark and tears open portals to the demonic abyss. I need some dun-dun-dun music behind me here. What steps through surprises even him. From that moment on, the insanity that pervades the Underdark escalates and threatens to shake the Forgotten Realms to its very foundation. Stop the madness before it consumes you. This is a adventure for levels 1 through 15. And as I said, it kicks off the Rage of Demons storyline, which is the next storyline for Dungeons & Dragons. And this is the book that Green Ronin Publishing actually wrote and is doing for Wizards.
All right, so really nasty things are happening down in Menzo. I could never get that name right. Menzoberranzan.
I think I pronounce it wrong too, but let's just be honest. Can anybody really pronounce any of these things?
If you're a dark elf.
Well, yeah. But...
All right, let's go to our week in DDO. Drac, what did you do?
I went into a little place called the Temple of Elemental Evil.
I've heard of it.
Yes, but I didn't go alone, though. Wednesday night, after you and I did our weekly DDO play...
Oh, good grief!
After that, there is, and I apologize now, I cannot remember his name. There is a new person that is streaming DDO. It's not on the official DDO channel. It's just on his own channel. And I seen a couple tweets about it, so I thought, well, I'll go check that stream out. So I'm watching that stream, and all of a sudden I see Bonnie and Moosey Pants start typing in the chat. So we're, kind of chatting with the guy that's streaming. And about 11:30 my time, which is Eastern, Moosey Pants says, hey, by the way, Bonnie and I now have level 7 characters, and we're going to run through the temple on Heroic Elite. And it's the first time that we've ever done Heroic, because they have only ever done it on their Epic character. So she's like, do you want to come with us? And I was like, sure, why not?
At 11:30.
At 11:30. So, craziness and many deaths and many res cakes and many heal pots and many bad words were shed and said. And we got through it. We actually completed parts 1 and part 2. Craziness. The archers are stupid insane. They do a stupid amount of damage. That's all I'm going to say about that. And, of course, out of all the chests we got, do you think I got a named dagger drop?
I doubt it.
Nope, I did not. The only thing that I got is in part 2, I did get the mushroom helmet. Okay. Or hat.
So, hold on, let me see. They went in with level 7 characters, and you went in with the level 13 character.
Yeah, well, there's that, but yeah. Yeah. And even then, I was dying a lot. But yeah, I did go in on my 13 rogue. At the end, I did get a nice longbow, though, that is bound to account. So I am going to give that to my Ranger Rogue.
Ooh.
And that is one of them that you can upgrade with the mushrooms that you get from the temple. So I'm gonna give that longbow. So now and it's a pretty nice longbow. But yeah, seriously, out of all the chests that we got in there, I did not get any name drops other than the mushroom hat at the end of part 2. I was like, what have I ever done to the RNG to get this much hate?
Oh, it looks like it is an eternal war with you and the RNG.
It is. The struggle is real, people. It is real. But I'd just like to thank Bonnie and Moosey for inviting me on. That was a blast, and that was probably the most amount of fun I've had playing DDO for a long time. So it was really fun. We didn't get done till like almost 3:30 in the morning, though. It was like I had no idea what time it was. It was kind of one of those, well, let's just try this section one more time. We can do it this time. I'm sure we can. And then, yeah, that, kind of like, okay, one more time. This is the last time. If we fail, we're going to end. But yeah, so it was fun. It was great. So thank you, girls, for inviting me along. Good times were had by all, I think. Those archers, though, I'm telling you, those archers are insane. And then my Ranger Rogue, which is my level 12, which is the one that I run with you on Wednesday nights. So what did we do this past Wednesday?
We finally got around to finishing up the Litany of the Dead Part 2, where we were doing the Shadow Crypt. And in there, we went into a dungeon that was a maze with mazes within mazes, just finding its best way to confuse you. Anyway, we had underwater mazes, we had regular mazes, we had more maze than Kansas in August. This is really...
Nithpon in the chat said it was Gemini was the person that was streaming, because he was actually watching that stream that night as well.
Okay.
So it was Gemini. So thanks, Nithpon. I could not remember what the guy's name was.
So it took us a little time in order to figure out what we were supposed to do. And especially when we came out to understand that you had all these... You're finding how you get the various keys in order to unlock it. Well, we eventually got all the keys, managed to break in there, kill the boss, upgrade our Silver Flame Pendant to the 2nd level. And I'm not exactly... I don't think we're going into part 3.
Yeah, we talked about that after we got done, and we weren't exactly jumping up and down about having to go do part 3 to upgrade it again anytime soon. So we might do it at some point. But yeah, I think the hardest thing that we had to figure out was we got to where the boss was, and then there was those, you needed all the colored gears to open up the wheels to open up the boss. And we finally figured out that certain rooms had like torches that were like
right, those torches, yeah,
unlit. And when you light one, you would get a color, and then you had to figure out the pattern to light them to get them all lit. And that's what would spawn the chest to get your gear. So once we figured that out, it was fairly easy, and we actually kind of on accident split up. We didn't mean to split up, but we did. But it was kind of beneficial for us, though, because I found the last lock that we needed, so I unlocked it, picked it up, and that, and then we just had to figure out how to meet up with each other, because it seems like every time we thought we were together, we were on like a different level, but it looked like we were at the same part of the map, but you were either below me or above me, and yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, Litany of the Dead Part 2. I'm good. I think our pendants, our necklace, is good. It'll stop some of the beholders that we're going to run into. Yeah, I think we have, five charges a day now on it, I think? Or
something like that.
So I think we're good. I don't think we're going to do part 3s.
All right, then. And on my Permadeath Druid, I did the Smuggler's Warehouse. And after doing that, I decided to try a couple of dungeons in hard so I could do them at levels, since they were level 2 dungeons and I was level 3. So I did Garrison's Missing Pack and Dirk's Got a Secret. And, of course, when you do those at hard, you've got all those kobolds who are starting to do things like hold person on you and darkness, which is a real pain. But I managed to get through there and survive the mess.
Just about to say, yeah, you're starting to get into the whole person territory there. So
yeah.
How do you like your druid?
Well, my biggest problem with the druid is I keep forgetting to shape change. Could you imagine?
Really?
You would think that with me playing in Lotro, playing a Bjorning all this
Well,
recently,
yeah.
I should be able to remember to shape change.
You should be used to shape changing. That is true. And that's kind of the druid's thing. That's
Right. So I went the entire session today without, so that we had those two hard mode dungeons, and in both of them, I completely forgot to shape change.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's awesome.
Now, I summoned my pet, and I did a summoning for the summon nature's ally.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember to do those.
But no shape change.
No shape change throughout the entire run.
You need to get a post-it note and just write shape change and put it right on the corner of your monitor.
All right. Something like that might help me quite a bit. And also, in the Temple of Elemental Evil board game, I ran Adventure 2, The Cult of Howling Hatred. And in that, the first time I attempted it was the continuation of what I was saying. I was in the middle of a game last week.
Yes.
And I eventually got killed. So so I got killed even before I found the boss room. I eventually found out why. And that I had turned my box around 90 degrees, and I used the wells where the tiles are stored.
Mm-hmm.
I used one of the wells to keep my draw pile, and I used the other well for the overflow one. That's where I draw from when it says to draw from the bottom.
Oh, okay. All right.
So throughout the entire adventure, I was drawing from the bottom pile instead of the top pile.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Because I was wondering, wait a minute, I should have drawn this by now.
Oh, no. Oops.
So I don't know how many turns I did that for, but I did that for several turns. And yeah, I eventually everything got caught up. But there are just things going wrong all over the place. So I lost that one. Fortunately, when you lose, they say that what you do is you go back to town, re-equip, and then go and try it again. So I was able to level after that little fiasco. So I went in and I reran the Cult of the Howling Hatred. Things went a little bit better than they did the first time. I managed to get all the way through it, and I even managed to keep that little wormling alive. So no, I did not use it as a meat shield, despite the title of last week's episode. So everything there went well. Then after succeeding and doing that, I went to the next adventure, which was Rotten and Red Larch, which is the first of the town adventures.
They have some interesting names for their adventures.
Yes. So we had that adventure. So we went into there. I think the random number generator was very nice to me in that particular one, because I managed to get to there, because I think I only wound up fighting about 5 monsters throughout that particular one, because monsters are less common in the town for obvious reasons.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, that's
perfectly logical. Right, and the very first and very early, I found my first doppelganger, so therefore I was able to get through there pretty fast, and it wasn't too long before I managed to get through it all. So that went pretty fast. I think that was more luck than skill involved with that. So I'm just getting ready to start the 4th adventure, where it looks like we're starting to, we had air for adventure 2, so it looks like the next couple of adventures are going to involve fire. So we'll see how it goes. Now let's go into donations. If you'd like to support DDO players, you can go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Do you know what happens when people support us on Patreon? Guess where that 5,000 Turbine Point giveaway came from? That's right, support from our Patreon. And you can also find other rewards for mention on DDO Players News, or even be a guest on our show.
And who wouldn't want to do that?
Right. Now we do have... Well, we normally would have featured comments, but we already read our featured comments earlier concerning why they chose the Coin Lords. And, of course, we have about 518 comments that are currently posted on one of our articles.
That was pretty much the bulk of all our comments where this week was, I want to win Turbine Point. Pick me, pick me.
Pick me, pick me. All right. And we have an email from Indrik. And what does he say?
He says, "Hey, Draculetta and Pineleaf, I haven't dropped you an email in a little while and didn't want you guys to think I forgot about you, smiley face. I couldn't help but smile when you guys were going over your run in the Shadow King in your last podcast. I remember when the Shadow King came out. During that time, we still lost experience when we died.
Ouch.
We would be so screwed if that was still the case. My guildie convinced me to try it on Elite, and let's just say, after all of the death penalties, I actually completed the quest with a net experience loss. Our party got decimated by the respawning shadows, Umble Wargs, Wraiths, Spectres, and those Umbral Gargoyles. It also took a little while to figure out about the illusionary walls, which we talked about last week.
Yes.
Which reminds me, when you get to the Shadow Crypt, keep an eye out for the banner. That's all I'm going to say about that.
The banner?
Yeah, that's the one where it was kind of like a illusionary wall that you walk through to get to the boss. We for some reason figured that out in the Shadow Crypt right away.
Yeah.
But in Shadow King, I don't know why we couldn't figure out where we needed to go, and then we found out, hey, that wall is not really a wall. But yeah, I can't remember why, but in Shadow Crypt we did. We just walked right through it.
Draculetta, in reference to Giant Hold, that area is extremely fun. The Giant Hold map is basically divided into 3 zones: Storm Fist Brigade, Storm Heart Brigade, and Storm Eye Brigade. There seems to be a pattern there. There are 3 primary quests in the Giant Hold that you need to complete to flag for Giant Hold Tour. Besides the 3 flagging quests, there are 2 more walk-up quests in each zone for a total of 6 extra quests. The walk-ups are automatically being bestowed on you when you approach them, like in the desert. In any case, have fun out there. Each of those quests contains some interesting traps. Later, Indrik.
I can't wait to find the traps then.
You can email us at podcast@ddoplayers.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter. The Players Alliance @Players Ally, DDO Players @DDO Players, Draculetta @Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles. The Players Alliance has 3 live shows every single week. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News. On Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Guild Wars Players News. And on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Locho Players News. And you can join us for our live shows by going to ddoplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to loot those treasure chests.